Let's have some fun, shall we? The Montreal Canadiens are playing in game number 5 against the Washington Capitals tonight. And as I had said earlier in today's show, I actually do have a busy morning, so I'm gonna have to pre-record some audio to go up before the game goes through. This video is unfortunately not going to talk about some of the notes we have heading into Washington-Montreal, but it is going to go over one of the more prevalent thoughts that Habs fans and media have explored the past few years, to be honest. And I say few years because we've kind of alluded to this in multiple videos. It hasn't been like an everyday thing. But once in a while, whenever the conversation does pop up, I do try to step in there and cash in on the discourse. Because today we're talking about the Canadiens, and we're talking about Pittsburgh. Yeah, that's right. The biggest story with the Pittsburgh Penguins lately is that they ended up getting rid of Mike Sullivan. And with change in P-Town, we have ourselves the opportunity to discuss if even more change could be on the horizon. Let's go out there and read what BPM Sports Talk Radio was talking about yesterday, courtesy of Marty Biron and Martin Lemay. What are you willing to offer for Sidney Crosby? Yeah, okay. Thank you, Biron. Thank you, Lemay, for reigniting this conversation one more time. Here it is. 3 first-round picks and Michael Hage for Crosby. Do you accept that? Martin Lemay asked. And then Marty Biron says, absolutely. I'll take my car, I'll go to Pittsburgh, and I will pick up Sidney Crosby and give him a bottle of champagne. And here's the thing. I get it. You can say, okay, from an asset management point of view, 3 first-round picks and Michael Hage, that is not really anything that you'd realistically consider trading in any individual trade. Like, a really good prospect, maybe a top 6 caliber prospect, potentially the answer to Montreal's second-line center needs long-term. A guy who is looking like the next Jack Eichel, but only if you look at his silhouette, maybe not if you look at his point totals. He's kind of like a discount Jack Eichel with his lankiness and his stride and his puck control and how long his stick reach can go. But a legitimate top 6 prospect, a guy who was destined to be a Hab, and 3 firsts for one guy? Yeah, that doesn't sound like a trade that I think a good chunk of Canadiens fans would be on board with. But if that guy you're receiving is Sidney Crosby, I think things do change at that point. Marty Biron even saying, yeah, I'd pick up Sidney Crosby myself. I'd give him a bottle of champagne. There are some conversations in the replies that are asking whether or not this is lunacy, if it's really too much. Oh, I'd rather keep Hage, I'd rather keep the picks, etc., etc. But honestly, if that's the price to get it done, I do it. And here's why. Sidney Crosby is one of these special hockey players, and it doesn't take a genius for me to tell you that. I'm not that smart, folks. I never claimed to be. But Sid is 37 years old, and normally you wouldn't really want to shell out 3 first-round picks and a top prospect for a 37-year-old. But Sidney Crosby, with 2 more seasons left at $8.7 million a year, is showing absolutely no signs of slowing down. He just wrapped up another point-per-game year. He had 91 points in 80 games this season. And he was super clutch at the Four Nations face-off. This guy is still on top of his game. And point-per-game seasons be damned, all you gotta do is just look at the results. The Penguins are not great. They didn't have much support point production-wise outside of Crosby, Raquel, and Rust. Macklin had sort of a down year. He was in and out with injury. Chris Letang didn't produce all too much. Erik Karlsson is definitely not the 100-point guy he was multiple years ago. Sidney Crosby has been totally dominant, and this is a guy whom, if you have a chance to get, you literally throw whatever sticks at the wall to get it done. And I can understand. Habs fans don't want to lose out on the potential of 3 first-round prospects and Michael Hage. But I think at this stage, when you think about what the Canadiens are, when you think about what they're so close to being, you don't really have much time to wait for these prospects anymore. At least, if you were thinking about trying to be competitive right now and capitalizing on the contract structure of the guys that are on the team right now, Ivan Demidov and Lane Hutson are on their ELCs, and they are superstar caliber guys. If you assume you want to open the Montreal Canadiens' window of opportunity next year and the year after, I can understand if the Canadiens trade away what would be a 2028 first-round pick, for example, 2027 first-round pick. Because guess what? That 2027 first, if the Canadiens are good in that time frame, then it's probably going to be 20-plus overall. And that guy taken in the 21st overall spot in 2027 is probably not going to become an NHL player till at the very least 2030. So why not shell out some of those extra assets for a guy who can help you right away, who will be an instant fan favorite, who will be a league favorite, who will be a generation-defining superstar when we look back at the 2000s 20, 30, 40 years from now? You talk about Gretzky dominating the 80s, Lemieux dominating the 90s, it's going to be Crosby and Ovi dominating the 2000s, and Connor McDavid dominating the 2010s. It's a lot, and there's a legacy attached to it that I think makes this conversation diluted. You can't just easily say up and away one guy for 3 prospects or 3 draft picks and a top prospect. But I also do think, like, Sidney Crosby does help out this team. And because he's so old, there might be some folks that would rather not make this trade. But he is still very effective. I don't really know if it's possible for Sidney Crosby to stop being a good hockey player. He just keeps on adjusting and growing and being fantastic every single year. He's breaking Gretzky records too. Not necessarily the flashy ones like the one that Ovi just broke, but like point per game seasons and being so consistent. Sid the Kid has been doing this his whole career. And maybe playing with some new life in Montreal, you want to have him as your net front guy? That sounds like a really good idea. I don't know. In fact, you can keep the first power play the same. Have Crosby on the second power play with Matheson and Laine. Maybe that would significantly reduce Crosby's production, but still, if you had him on the first power play unit as the net front guy, face-off winning guy, oh yeah, that's still freaking amazing. Suzuki and Caulfield with Crosby on the forward line, Hutson and Demidov on the points. That sounds stellar. And it could be Montreal's if you wanted to go off of this trade proposal. In fact, maybe Pittsburgh doesn't even think it's good enough. Who knows? Michael Hage is a great prospect, and 3 first-round picks is nothing to scoff at. But is that enough for the Pittsburgh Penguins to depart with Sidney Crosby? I don't know. You can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What do you think about this Sidney Crosby trade price from the Montreal Canadiens? I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.